My video for November 30th, 2017 is a question. What happened to my little girl? When she was born, I was right outside the door and was called into the delivery room. The nurse handed her to me so that I could hold her, even before her own mother. We always had a special relationship, and when her mom and I divorced, she lived for a while with my ex-wife, but was not happy. She wrote a heart-wrenching letter to me as a 9-year-old. She wanted to be with her daddy. There was a legal process that needed to happen, and once completed, I went to get her and my son and bring them to Florida, where I had moved. Some years later, my son decided to give his mom another chance, and he and his sister went and spent a year with their mom. They were exposed to some things during that time that I think changed their lives, although there was a time afterwards that both were going to church with me. My son played the drums, and my daughter taught a Sunday school class for children. Now she not only hates her husband, she says she hates her own brother and father. It's heartbreaking. Indeed, I appreciate the response to yesterday's video. I got personal phone calls and personal emails, as well as comments on the video itself that were uplifting. But I'm going through a very challenging time. And I'm going to interject here at the beginning of this. I went and gave birthday greetings today to my friends whose birthday it is, and one of them says she's 54 years old. Well, I was in a relationship for a time with this lady, and she's older than I am. So she lies about her age, which I find that humorous, and I could say other things, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stay with the topic of what happened to my little girl. As I said, my little girl and I, my daughter and I, have always had a special relationship. But when she went with her brother to spend that year with her mom, and then after my son graduated high school that year, in fact, he spent his final year in school in the state of Virginia. And afterwards, they did come back to Florida. And when my ex-wife came to Florida some years later after getting divorced, the first thing she asks me is, "Do you know where I can get some pot?" That was one of the things that I think my children picked up while they were with their mom that year. I had never been involved in that in my whole life, and still don't. And I have friends that try to convince me that it would help calm me down and all sorts of things, but that's not my path. It's not a road that I choose to take. In any case, what's been going on with my family since my birthday has been heart-wrenching. My birthday was October 21st, and of course this is November 30th, as I said. So the past month plus has been very, very traumatic. My daughter, for whatever reason, seemed to choose men that had bad habits. And I don't know where she got that from, but that's been the path. She never did graduate high school, though she's very bright. She works at a job that requires extraordinary skills, and she's perhaps even better than her own employer. And she's the one that taught my son how to do that very job. I'm not going to go into the details of that right now, but in any case, she's a very bright person, but she first married a man who was an addict, and she was going to help him. But she never had any children with him. She never got pregnant. And she finally divorced him after 5 years of trying to have him straighten his life out a little bit. And before she even finished getting a divorce, she hooked up with somebody else. And that person became the father of my 3 grandchildren. And he wasn't even present when the first grandchild was born. He was away on a 6-month vacation against his will. And he didn't get to see his own daughter for some time after that. And in any case, folks, this is stuff that I'm sharing that as I said, it breaks my heart. Because I see my grandchildren every day. And my grandson opened up for some reason yesterday and talked more than he's ever talked about how the fights that take place between my daughter and her second husband, father of my grandchildren. And when he's under the influence of alcohol, he can be very violent. And my grandson went into some detail about that, which surprised me. My granddaughters are a little bit more quiet and don't express things, although I can read between the lines of some things that are said and some things that are only hinted at. In any case, my daughter's life is tumultuous, to say the least. And I ask for your prayers that somehow grace will be applied in this situation and that she can be brought to a place of happiness, and that there can be peace between her and her husband and her brother and me, and her life can get put back on a path that will be good for her children and good for humanity and good for all of us. I really hope and pray that somehow these things are restored, not just for my family, but for the whole world, because we've all been abused. We've all been lied to. We've all been hurt very, very deeply. And sometimes when we hurt others. Not that that fixes anything. It only complicates the situation. But it's an understandable response and a reaction to the pain that we feel. And I'd like to see the pain healed. I'd like to see all of the things that are wrong with the world corrected. And some say, God's not going to do it. It's up to us. Well, as I keep on saying, if it's up to us, we're going to lose. It's going to fail again because we can't do it. We've been brainwashed. We've been limited. And we don't know how to tap into our extraordinary powers that some say we're supposed to have, and that I believe were given to us as our God-given right. But it's not going to happen if it's up to us. We need help. My family needs help. I need help. We all need help as a human race. Please pray that God intervenes. Thank you for listening, and namaste.